Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad that you could be here today. Let's jump over and look at our cosmic weather today. We're right here at the 4th. So we have a sun sign that is Aquarius and a moon sign that is Aries. Sun sign Aquarius is air, Aries fire. So air and fire are the two elements we're dealing with. The air sign is in the conscious mind. So the conscious mind is dealing with the ideas of words and actions, how we express ourselves. So this is a time finding out how we express ourselves in the world. That Aquarian ideal that we want to put out there is shining upon us, that Aquarian light. And the unconscious is that pioneer that wants to come forward, to charge forward. What are we going to create? How are we going to lead this charge forward of whatever this next mission, project, endeavor is? Okay? Now we're going to go from there. We're going to go to the today, Tuesday, so Jupiter's moon disappears behind Jupiter's western limb tonight. So if you're looking up in the sky, you're not going to see that. 20 minutes later, Jupiter's great red spot crosses the planet's central meridian. Finally, Io reappears out of the eclipse from Jupiter's shadow just east of the planet around 11:56 p.m. Eastern Time or 8:56 p.m. Pacific Time. So something to look forward to if you're looking up in the sky tonight. Moon phase for today is 28% full, making its way up towards the full moon. Mayan Oracle, we're on the wave spell of the human, which is about free will, and today we're at the 6th position along the way, which is the rhythmic position or the rhythmic tone. The rhythmic tone is called the rhythmic tone of equality. It's tone number 6, so if you think of the idea of 6, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, with an equal balance, gives you the idea of equality. The kin for today is the earth. Red earth. Red is one of the 4 colors. You have red, white, blue, yellow. There's a 5th color, green, hidden within here. But red, white, blue, yellow are the 4 main colors that go over and over again. Red is initiation, white refinement, yellow or blue transformation, yellow ripening. So today we're at initiation. Navigation is the meaning of this, synchronicity and navigation. You got a question, which is asking questions to be able to understand, asking questions of life. Being in tune with synchronicity, so today would be the rhythmic synchronicity of life, rhythmic navigation, guided by navigation, so trusting the process of allowing life to guide us along. The phrase for today is I organize in order to evolve, balancing synchronicity. I seal the matrix of navigation with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power doubled. And on the long count today would be a 11 oak, okay, or 8 pox if you're looking at the hob. And here's our positioning on the Zolkin right down here. So we're in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column over. We've got a few more days here, then we're going to go to this next column, the top. Spaceweather.com, current solar wind is 345.6 kilometers per second. Our planetary K index is in the quiet range, but we've got a really big coronal hole starting to turn our way, and we know that coronal holes send solar wind out into the atmosphere. So as it gets more directed towards Earth, we shall be probably feeling some effect of that. M-class flare possibility still up there to 80%. X-class is 50%. Geomagnetic storm activity seems like it's dropped a little bit. We were at solid 25s in here the other day. Now we've got some 20s, 15s. Now let's take a look at our numerology for today. Today is the 4th, so do a little draw up here. You see we've got 2 plus 4 plus the year 2004. So if we add up the 2 and the 4 right here, 2 and 4, we got the 6. We got the 2014 over here, and we know that adds up to 7. 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4. So we're going to add the 6 and the 7 together, which is the day, the month, the day, and the year. So we've got a 13, and the 1 and the 3 makes its way down to a 4. So the numerology for today is a 4. So you look at the numerology to understand just another way of looking at the energy around us. So in addition to everything else that we're looking at, we have a calendar system that we are following that has us looking at this and consciously moving along a process which is reflecting a number 4. Okay? So when we look at all of the different systems around us, kind of like wheels within wheels, we see a variety of energetic systems that are out there that we need to understand the timing of, because there's a different timing, and if we can understand what they're all about, we'll be more efficient because we'll be really understanding the synchronicities and timings of everything around us and how to move in it. So today being a 4-tone day, over here we look at 4s. 4s, one thing is the tarot card of the Emperor, which has a meaning of he who sets in order. So 4 is all about putting things in order. It's about discipline, strong, stable, pragmatic, down-to-earth, reliable, dependable, hardworking, extracting, precise, methodical, conscientious, frugal. Those are all good words. Patriotic, trustworthy. But then the other side of the 4 can be, things that aren't willing to express themselves in that ordered manner. So since 4 is a number of order, where everything's put in order, just think of the opposite. Everything's in chaos. That would be the opposite of what would be going on with the 4. So the idea is to put everything together to organize it. The reason being because the number 4 associates itself with Aries. Aries is the ram. Aries is the sign that is the moon sign for today. Aries is the one who goes out there as the pioneer, the leader, creating things. So the 4s are working to put things in order so one can go out there and lead properly. So that's what today is. Today is a 4-day, a day of organization. And we also see the reflection in the signs of the planets and the stars as well. Alright, so there you go. That gets us started. UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alright, Dirk, thank you very much. Alright, first one, we go to Rhode Island. Rhode Island couple photographs hovering black discs, UFOs. There we go, we got one right there, and the second one right there. Alright, 2 West Greenwich, Rhode Island witnesses reported watching and photographing 2 hovering black disc UFOs about 5:33 p.m. on January 31st. According to testimony in case 53853 from the Mutual UFO Witness Reporting Database. The 2 were driving along the local highway when the objects were spotted while looking out their passenger side window. She told her boyfriend to look, and he grabbed a series of pictures showing the objects standing still in the sky. They were circular, they had no lights. The couple got off the next exit and they drove towards where they saw the objects. They had lost them in the trees, and after taking the exit, by the time they reached the area they were previously above, the UFOs were gone. They saw a helicopter heading in the same direction. As they drove closer, the couple included the images with the MUFON report. So there we have it. 2 objects in the sky. They look black at this period, or in this picture, but may not necessarily be black. It could be silver or something, just with the lighting. Okay, here we have Newport Beach, California. This appears to be a cigar with several orbs. I filmed some great orbs and cigar UFOs and a swarm of UFOs on the 2nd of February from my deck. Filmed this activity on the 2nd of February. At 11:30 a.m. the day started with a smooth orb flying across the skyline westward towards the ocean. From there, a number of orbs and cigar UFOs became visible as the sun rays shined directly over my porch, providing great light. Please see 154 for a breakdown of the different cigar UFOs. So it's just shy of 5-minute long video here. Let's see what we have here. There we go. There's one coming across. Nice little orb. As we get into this, we know that there's going to be more picking up into here. There we go. Oh, look at that. A whole bunch more. A gathering of orbs. There's the big long cylindrical object. Alright, very cool. Very good sighting, good shot. Captured by a guy named, or submitted by a guy named Jim. Alright, this is Sydney, Australia. New video of some kind of flying saucer hovering in the sky above Sydney. This was taken also on the 2nd. This extra large UFO traveling from Liverpool towards Wollongong south. The camera used was a Sony CRTV V30. There we go. So a lot of these orbs all around the world. What do you think these orbs are? Are these all from other worlds? Or are these orbs possibly something that are from our world? One of the many orbs that we have. Perhaps an NSA product? It's hard to tell these days anymore. Okay. It's a 7-minute video. And you just keep going and watch for 7 minutes. Alright, let's move from here to Georgia. Georgia silent sphere UFO with lights reported over Georgetown. Giant silent sphere. A Conyers, Georgia witness reported headaches and odd behavior of her dog after watching a formation of silent lights moving at the treetop level that appears to be attached to a sphere-shaped object, 5 times the size of known airplanes, according to February 3rd, 2014 testimony from the Mutual UFO Witness Reporting Database. The witness was outside with the dog and talking on a cell phone when the lights were first seen at about 8:30 p.m. on January 15th. I started getting strange noises on my phone and then the call dropped. The witness stated, that's when I looked up into the sky, which I do every night to look at the stars. Then I noticed a very close range, treetop distance, red lights in the formation in a line, and one white light that did not blink or anything. The white light was consistent. The witness first thought of the conventional reasons for the lights. My first thought was that jets flying in formation until I realized there was no sound, and also if I could not see the object that the lights were coming from at all, it was as if the whole thing was invisible except for the lights. The witness then followed the lights and eventually watched them over a nearby vineyard. It was huge, like 5 times the size of our airplanes today. At a distance over the clearing, I could see how it was exactly a sphere-shaped object based on how the red-orange lights moved around it. There were 6 red-orange lights with 1 white in the center, and the way the lights faded in and out was not how any of our planes do today, plus the size and the color was different. The witness also noticed odd circumstances. The other thing that was strange was this event only lasted about 10 minutes, but after it all, I noticed that my dog was gone for over an hour, which was very strange. He's a well-trained dog and never runs off. After this, though, I've been getting some of the worst headaches ever. Conyers is the only city in Rockdale County, Georgia, population of 10,689. Okay, it's a very interesting sighting there, and what that is. Certainly that's just a representation. That's not the exact ball that was seen in the sky. Alright, here we have Ireland. Carlow, Ireland, February 3rd. New footage of a bright UFO flying in the sky above Carlow. This was filmed yesterday. So I recorded a video at about 5:10 UK time. Very strange light in the sky. See it right here? It's going across. It couldn't have been a plane or a chopper. It was moving very unorthodox, and it was even disappearing and reappearing. When you enlarge the screen, you'll definitely see it better, but it's right there. It looks like it just disappeared. Okay? So, check that out there. And now, let's go to the Drake equation. You've heard the name Drake before. Scientists certainly involved with many of the scientific aspects of the UFO community. According to Drake, 3.4 million alien civilizations are in our galaxy. It's from the Drake equation. There's nothing in the universe that is more exact than mathematics itself, and Dr. Frank Drake decided to take on the challenge. He created a mathematical equation that tells us an estimate of how many alien civilizations are at our level or higher in the Milky Way galaxy. He created this formula called the Drake equation as a way to simulate scientific discussion at the world's first SETI meeting in Green Bank, West Virginia. Great, right? But let's look down to brass tacks. When the formula is completed, it looks like this. N equals 7 times 1 times 0.2 times 0.13 times 1 times 0.2 times 10 to the 9th equals 36.4 million. Well, that's a whopping number of planets that are out there that contain civilizations. Yes, because if N equals 36 million N, the number of civilizations in our galaxy which our communications might be possible. Of course, some of them already know about this, but it raises a new question. Why don't they reveal themselves to us? That's my friend. My friend is easy. Some of these 36,400,000 planets with life have created spacefaring capabilities. Let's say a very low estimate of 1% or 364,000. This number still blows me away. So let's say 1% of the 1% has space technology. That's still 3,640 spacefaring species. When humanity is exploring space, usually it's funded by governments, and you know the red tape and the rules they have about the simplest things. Well, aliens have rules about revealing themselves, and it probably has serious implications if you are caught breaking their rules. It's a lot like the TV show Star Trek, and how the captain of the USS Enterprise doesn't want to interrupt in other cultures. But circumstance brings it to happen, and sometimes it happens by accident. Same thing. They are trying to respect our way of life and not make us dependent on them or their advancements. I do believe that if enough civilizations are received from Earth, from not one but many people, alien civilizations will have to decide that Earth has come a long way. And perhaps, just perhaps, they will deem humanity ready to meet them. How to send messages? Many ways, but most popular is by radio telescope or laser communicator. I sent hundreds of messages using radio telescopes around the globe, but most of them closed down or stopped allowing messages to be sent. Alright, so there you go, 36.4 million alien civilizations. That is quite a lot. And here's a video for you to watch. I'm not going to play any of this for you, just going to provide the link because, well, it's an interesting video. It's an hour and 6 minutes long, and it is a documentary about aliens and the reenactments of the UFO interview. So the link's available here so you can check it out and watch it later. It's an hour and 6 minutes long, but this really gets into the alien interview. So if you're a UFO researcher or someone who just loves the subject, this is right up your alley, okay? The link will be available, firstcontactradio.com. That's it. I'm going to jump away for a moment, and I will be back. Stay tuned.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Underground is where they live. In the bases that our secrets live. interest to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives?
Alright, continuing on. So, Brother Nathaniel, I haven't heard anything from him in a little bit, so I thought today would be a good day for that. So let's catch up on Brother Nathaniel. This one is called Let's Unite to End the Fed. And I thought this would be appropriate because that is certainly a common problem that we have in this country that we need to deal with. So let's listen to what old Brother Nathaniel has to say about this.
Everyone's talking about ending the Fed. But before we can end the Fed, we must decide where it fits in the big picture. Is it private or government? America can be broken into three sectors: the private, the government, and the ruling sector. People are fooled into believing that government officials are the ruling sector, the oppressors, but they're just puppets regardless of how complicit. Elected officials merely carry out the decisions of the rulers. You can't even become a candidate unless you're first chosen by the rulers and suck up to AIPAC. As for the private sector, these are the producers, the ones crunching out a living. The private and government sectors are the slave sectors. But how do we know who makes up the ruling sector? Voltaire told us, quote, "To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize," unquote. And criticizing Jews is the supreme hate speech. Now there's a constant silly argument whether the Fed is private or government. Alan Greenspan says the Fed is not government.
The Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
So now people think the Fed must be private, but others say because the Fed prints our money, it must be government. Fellow slaves, we've got to break out of this false dichotomy the Jews have constructed for us. The Fed isn't private or government. It's the ruling sector. When you see some congressmen dragging up some Fed cronies up for grilling under oath, don't believe a word of it. It's just kabuki theater. The Fed owns the Congress, the executive, and the judiciary. Since it creates the money and pays their salaries, it buys them all. And those it can't buy, it destroys their reputations or simply murders them outright. Why do our Jewish rulers promote this false dichotomy of private versus public concerning the Fed? Because ever since creating the Fed in 1913 and its subsidiary, the IRS, they tax us under the divide and conquer system. In the media and public schools, which they own, they teach the liberals to hate the private sector. In Republican campaigns, they teach the conservatives to hate the government sector. This way, the Jewish rulers keep us tax slaves at each other's throats, so we won't notice them or attack them. Everyone knows you have to be a Jew to head the Fed. All the goyim associated with any senior Fed post are simply window dressing. Everyone knows the Fed loans the government money they invent out of thin air and gouge us with interest while we have to work for that money. Everybody knows that the financial sector, not the 50 million poor on food stamps, is the biggest welfare queen in the world. So why is the Fed still intact? There's one simple answer. It's the disunity of us slaves in the private and government sectors who are taught by the Jewish overlords to blame each other for having the wrong fiscal policy as to where we spend our money. But fiscal policy doesn't matter because we can't implement it unless we first retake control over money creation and get rid of the debt to Jewish banker system we're in. How can we unite? Divisions of black against white, women against men, left against right, private against government must be dropped. so that identifying the real enemy, the Jewish ruling sector, can take place. The crisis is coming to a head. The Fed can either be replaced with another Jewish banking scam. The libertarians got one ready to go. Or we can coin our own money as the Constitution mandates and kick the Jewish bankers out.
All right, good words from Brother Nathaniel. You know, he speaks some real important words about unity, because we are very divided. And if you think about what the difference is between what the government agencies have going on, it's organization. Whether it's a lot of organization or little, it's just organization. And so that's the biggest problem that we have, that all these rules and regulations are put out in the world and people are becoming divided. And in this division, we're not really seeing the problems that are in the world because we're too busy fighting each other. There's no reason to fight each other. So let's understand our common situation. But let's not look at our common situation as an enemy, because the moment that we put ourselves in that, looking at them as an enemy, we start going into this warlike consciousness, and that's what we've been doing for such a long period of time. We need to look at them as a challenge to overcome, as opposed to the enemy. Remember in Star Wars how Luke kept saying that there was still good in Darth Vader, and at the very end, well, I believe that about people here on this planet. There's a lot of misguided individuals. We certainly have heard of a variety of entities that are out there, whether they are negative extraterrestrials or demonic entities that are influencing individuals. But we have to learn, where the problem is, and we have to learn not to go into enemy consciousness. Remember, we're all in this together. We all need to work together, and even the ones that are causing the biggest problems, we just need to find a way to take whatever angst or anger or upset we have towards them and put them at the top of that prayer list. So let the spiritual energy change them. And let's keep changing ourselves for the better and not get caught up in their warlike ways. So division, it's very important what Brother Nathaniel says. Let's not get divided. Let's stay focused not only on the issue of the Fed, but all of the issues that affect Americans and the rest of the world. Because we can't turn a blind eye to say that what we do in America is isolated from the rest of the world. It's not true. What we do here affects everyone in the world, and what other people in the world does affects everyone else. And as we understand this more and more, we'll help each other out a little bit better, and that's the whole key. All right, be right back. We've got some more stuff to talk about. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
On here. So what I like to do, and I've been trying to the last couple of weeks, is on Tuesdays to talk about spiritual masters, things that they say, what they're about, really to understand how we've had these wonderful enlightened beings on this planet who have given us wisdom so that we can continue to move forward. And they tell us that there's certainly many views we can take in life. We can look at the path of all the negative stuff that's going on, and we can follow that path, or we can look at all the positive stuff and follow that path. And that seems to be the challenge ever since we've gone into the state of duality that we hear about in the Bible, in the Garden of Eden, that we look at this path and we really find ourselves obsessed at times with wanting to go down that path of the material world and all the challenges. And there's some good things because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, so I believe we should go down those paths to learn those things. But we want to keep in mind the spiritual lessons we learn, because they'll help us to go down those paths and understand even more of who we are and what we're about. This is a site, it's called godsdirectcontact.com, and it has some really good information here on spiritual masters. It says, throughout the ages, mankind has been visited by rare individuals whose sole purpose is the spiritual upliftment of humanity. Jesus Christ was one of these spiritual masters, as were the Shakyamuni Buddha and Muhammad. These three spiritual masters are well known to us, but there are many other spiritual masters whose names we do not know. Some spiritual masters taught publicly, or they were known by a few, and other spiritual masters remained anonymous. These spiritual masters were called by different names at different times in different countries. They have been referred to as Living Master, Avatar, Enlightened One, Savior, Messiah, Divine Mother, Messenger, Guru, Living Saint, and the like. They came to offer us what has been called enlightenment, salvation, realization, liberation, or awakening. The words used may be different, but in essence, they all mean the same thing. These spiritual masters, from the same divine source, with the same spiritual greatness, moral purity, and power to uplift humanity as the holy ones from the past, are here with us today. Yet few know of their presence. One of these spiritual masters is the spiritual master Chai Hai. Master Chai Hai teaches the importance of practice of meditation, inner contemplation, and prayer. She explains that we must discover our own inner divine presence if we are able to be truly happy in this life. She tells us that enlightenment is not esoteric and out of reach, attainable only by those who retreat from society. Her job is to awaken the divine presence within us. While we lead normal lives, she states that it is like this. We all know the truth. It's just that we forget it. So sometimes someone has to come and remind us of the purpose of our life, why we must find the truth, why we must practice meditation, why we must believe in God or Buddha or whoever we think is the highest power in the universe. She asks us not to follow her. She simply offers her own enlightenment as an example so others may gain their own ultimate liberation. And here we have some real nice information. As a master. Masters are those who remember their origin and out of love share their knowledge with whomever seeks it, and they take no pay for their work. They offer all their time, finance, and energy to the world. When we reach this level of mastership, not only do we know our origin, but we can also help others to know their true worth. Those who follow the direction of a master quickly find themselves in a new world full of true knowledge, true beauty, and true virtues. All beauty, knowledge, and virtue in the outside world is there to remind us of the true world inside. The shadow, however beautiful, is never as good as the real object itself. Only the real thing can satisfy our soul, which is the master of the house. Okay, so this is a good one. We got some nice links over here. If you want to learn more about God, meditation, read about all these things here. Go over to the meditation. Talks about the Kuan Yin method of meditation. Kuan Yin is the meditation on both the inner light and the inner sound. It is through the inner light and sound that we come to know God. During the initiation, specific instructions of meditation on inner light and inner sound is given. So you can go through and you can listen to all of these, some really good things here. So it's very important that we maintain our connection to the spiritual. Remember, all the books talk about a spiritual battle. And it's real easy if one is caught up in the material world to overlook the spiritual and overlook the phrases that say we're in a spiritual battle. But those who are paying attention, they understand, and that's where we want to go, to not only be able to win the battle, but to be able to learn the most and have the most effect. Remember, energy has different levels: fire, water, air, and earth. We're down here on the earth level, the physical 3D realm. But prior to this, we have the fire and the water and the air that makes up this energy that we're in. So if we go to those elements, then we're going to be affecting deeper aspects of who and what we're about, and those elements affect how things turn out in the material world. So the idea is when we go to a meditative space, when we get into that spiritual place, we go there into the energetic field before it becomes manifest in the physical form, and we imprint with our imagination, our idea on that field of the unconscious. And then that energy, like a seed, plants itself in that field of the unconscious, and then it manifests itself, grows, and evolves. And our job is learning how to step out of the way so it can grow, but also knowing the time when we do want to participate. Because in all times, we should remember it is a co-creation. We are co-creating with the universe. It's not us who are doing it on our own. It's the universe and us are working together, co-creating. And as we understand that relationship, we understand a lot of things, because that relationship of co-creating happens all the time. Whenever we are working, whether it's with ourselves, just working with spirit, or whether it is ourselves and another, and we're to find that cooperation, it's all about working together. Here's some more quotes about enlightenment. I'll read a couple of these. It isn't by getting out of the world that we become enlightened, but by getting into the world. By getting so tuned in that we can ride the waves of our existence and never get tossed, because we become the waves. This is from Ken Kesey. C. Joy Bell. Last night I lost the world and gained the universe. Socrates. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Deepak Chopra. According to Vedanta, there are only two symptoms of enlightenment. Just two indications that a transformation is taking place within you towards a higher consciousness. The first symptom is that you stop worrying. Things don't bother you anymore. You become lighthearted and full of joy. The second symptom is that you encounter more and more meaningful coincidences in your life, more and more synchronicities, and this accelerates to the point where you actually experience the miraculous. This was all quoted by Carol Lynn Pearson in Consider the Butterfly. Here we have Jared Kintz. He has 3 points. 1, to his to-do list, sit and think. 2, reach enlightenment. 3, feed the cats. And we have John Lubbock. It says, earth and sky, and woods and fields, lakes and rivers, the mountain and the sea are excellent schoolmasters and teach some of us more than we can ever learn from books. Ralph Waldo Emerson. There is creative writing. There is creative reading as well as creative writing. Osho. One thing you have to walk and create by the way of your walking. You will not find a ready-made path. It is not so cheap to reach to the ultimate realization of truth. You have to create the path by walking yourself. The path is not ready-made, lying there and waiting for you. It is just like the sky. The birds fly, but they do not leave any footprints. You cannot follow them. There are no footprints left behind. And a little bit more from Osho. I'm simply saying that there is a way to be sane. I'm saying that you can get rid of all of this insanity created by the past in you, just by being a simple witness of your thought process. It is simply sitting silently, witnessing the thoughts passing before you, just witnessing, not interfering, not even judging, because the moment you judge, you have lost pure witness. The moment you say this is good, this is bad, you have already jumped onto the thought process. It takes a little time to create a gap between the witness and the mind. Once the gap is there, you are in for a great surprise, that you are not the mind, that you are a witness, a watcher. And this process of watching is the very alchemy of real religion, because as you become more and more deeply rooted in witnessing, thoughts start to disappear. You are you, but the mind is utterly happy, utterly empty. That's the moment of enlightenment. That's the moment that you become, for the first time, an unconditional, sane, really free human being. It's a good one. If you think about it, from the moment that we're born, we are being watched. Yet we are told, and we endeavor to be able to understand the one who is watching us. And I think part of the process, as this last comment talks about, is taking our perspective from that of just being the watcher to pulling back, or from being watched to being a watcher, to pulling back and looking at humanity in that way. And it seems that when we go from watching to from being watched to being a watcher, that we're taking on some sort of selflessness, because to watch means to be able to want to learn something from another situation. And when we pull ourselves back and we really look at life from that bigger perspective or smaller perspective, whatever you want to look at it, because as we pull back, we feel much smaller in perspective to the life that we're looking at. I think it's very important that as we understand that relationship, what is it like when the universe is looking down upon us? What is that perspective? How does the universe feel? And if we pull ourselves back, I think we have an opportunity to see how that would feel and, be able to understand our place in the universe a little bit more. And this brings us to our next piece here. It's called our Galactic Origins. Galactic Origins. Did you ever wonder the real story of where our galactic lineage originated from? Do you feel any ties to the Pleiades, Lyra, Sirius, Vega, Orion, Arcturus, Zeta Reticuli? In passing through the prism of Lyra, the first fragmentation group of beings that can be called founders. The founders embody the group consciousness of what eventually became humankind. The group of they project to a very high level of fourth density, but from their natural state is non-physical. And splitting off from the portions of that whole that passed through the prism of Lyra, they still retained a memory, if somewhat dreamlike, of the idea of integration and the purpose of fragmentation. It is they who orchestrate the humankind evolution. They play the roles of the parent archetypes in male and female polarity balance. The founders became aware of the blueprint that was chosen as they fragmented from the whole. From this blueprint, they knew that children carry the encodings of the parents. Since they played the parents' role, it was their responsibility to influence the growth of the new consciousness about to be created. In doing this, they became the blueprint, began to understand and live it, knowing that this would encode future fragments. The founders began to understand the natural energy patterns of the polarized reality just created. It became obvious to them that this newly fragmented group consciousness interfaces with specific realities, with three main points: point of positivity, point of negativity, and a integrative point of the two. All interactions occur when the lines that connect each point, with very few aspects of consciousness existing within the points of purity. The realization inspired them to understand a paradigm of polarized reality, which was something exciting and new to their understanding. When they believed they were ready, the founders began another fragmentation. Just as a portion of the whole became curious and created the realm from its thoughts, the founders emulated their parents and exerted thought energy to create a fragmentation of themselves. This fragmentation occurred far and wide. Individualized consciousness sprang from the founders' group awareness and began to explore the universe. Because of this fragmentation, every being existing in the galactic family presented here as part of the founders. There was an infinite number of fragments and explorational journeys. Some of these fragments grew into civilizations and have played a part in the development of Earth. When the founders fragmented, some allowed their energy to densify sufficiently in order to enter a physical reality. The founders had already chosen planets that could support life. Then they gently guided these fragments into a physical third or fourth dimensional existence. After time had passed, the fragments became more accustomed to physical existence, and assistance from the founders became less needed. The first area to eventually be colonized after the founders' fragmentation was in general vicinity of the Lyra constellation. Most of the galactic family had the genetic connections to Earth as roots to the Lyran system. It was there that the first attempt at integration occurred. The founders thought it would be easy and predictable. Instead, humanoid life forms spread outward exponentially until a very intricate tapestry was woven. The threads of the tapestry became tangled until eventually the origins of the thread became lost in a colorful maze of the tapestry's designs. The following are the main characteristics displayed in this tapestry from the Earth's perspective. Lyra, the general area of the birth of the humanoid race. All humanoid races in the galactic family have genetic roots connected to Lyra. It is the symbolic harp upon which the song of humanity is played. Vega, a star within our constellation of Lyra. Descendants of Lyra, Vega birthed a race of beings who manifested Lyra's opposite polarity both in their beliefs and actions. There were frequent conflicts between the Lyran and Vegan races. Apex Planet, a planet within the Lyran system, which was the first attempt at creating an integrated society. Sirius, a trinary star group it is known in Earth mythology as the Dog Star. Sirius was one of the first areas to be colonized by beings from the Lyran star group. Sirius embodied the energy of the triadic template and perpetuated the drive towards integration. There is a large variety of consciousness types that incarnate in this system. Orion, this is the main battleground for the challenges of polarity integration, seeded from Sirius as well as Lyra and Vega. There is a direct connection with Earth as explored in later chapters. The Pleiades, colonized by Lyran offshoots. The group is Earth's main genetic connection from extraterrestrial sources. Arcturus, an archetype for future self ideal of Earth. Arcturus assists in healing personal and planetary consciousness. Its vibration, primarily 6th density, has been attributed to the angelic kingdom. Zeta Reticuli. The civilization is intimately connected with Earth. The Reticuli are the primary group instigating abductions, or more accurately called temporarily detainments, since the group always returns the abductee. More will be said about this group in later chapters. Though some of the civilizations overlap each other in time, they may not appear linear. Below is a linear translation of the progression of the various cultures in comparison to each other. Okay? So, a little bit of information about the variety of races that are involved out there, so you might be able to see what you resonate with. And I believe that if you really asked everybody on this planet, I believe everybody here can find that they resonate with some place other than here. Because we're not from here. We are on this earth, but we're not of this earth. We may think we are because we get caught up in the earthly ways, but we're definitely not of this planet. We're just here for a temporary period of time. All right, let's jump over to our message for today. This is the Pleiadians. There we go.
Galactic Federation of Light, the Pleiadians.
April 2nd, 2014, by Robert Measure.
You are working within in many dimensions, temporal junctions, and time loops, many levels of awareness and intelligence. Stay in the heart center, and emanate the love of your multidimensional soul self. Once you really connect with yourself on a soul level, and spread love from each facet, through each dimension from every other dimension, you will harmonize and bind each facet of self, and each dimension giving you access to a myriad of worlds, and a united awareness and conscious attainment. Ethereal spirals of kinetic cycles progress in an infinite loop, centered, conjunct and emanated from the one heart of the metacosmic mainframe. Beloveds, get to know yourself on every level of your being, dark, light, balanced, hyperdimensional, intergalactic, God state, etc. Love is ever coalescing the interchangeable diversity of spiritual fragmentation. As you move through the higher dimensions, duality becomes less and less noticeable. In the lower, denser dimensions, parallels of fractal emission condense, creating dense duality. As you allow more light and love to flow through you, duality seems less dogmatic and becomes more flexible. This is why information comes through with more clarity when connected to the higher realms. And this is also the reason for conscious evolutionary spiritual expansion. Vectorial fusion is a good way to describe the spirit's evolution, and how it is possible to enter into higher states of awareness and lighter dimensions of flexible energy. There is a balance that needs to be rendered. In each level of your being, your energy must be able to resonate and impact both dense and flexible. Your spirit must balance through the trinity of love. You need to be the canvas and the architect. Polarity integration transcends levels of conscious capability and spiritual activity. This means you need to realize that dark and light work in cohesive synchronicity, and stasis is the basis of creation, dimensional transversion, metamorphosis, and intelligence. Orbital cognition of plasmatic substrate could be a way to describe the fusion matrix of spiritual, mental, and emotional interpolarity, yet these are just words and cannot grasp the reality they are trying to conceptualize. When you are in meditation, you are in a field of pure receptivity and creative flexibility. Your creation matrix could be represented as the geometric biological correlation of the structures you form in the voidless state of meditative ritual. Light could be viewed as the language of the universe, and love the syntactic, and darkness the receptive field of imprint and network. Yet, this does not quite grasp the fullness in which we are trying to portray, as no language except that of experience can scratch the surface of the fullness being sensed. As you expand through spiritual fusion, the underlying concepts of each dimension dissolves in the void of mental contraction. As spirit becomes more conscious of its true nature, the dogma and principles of limitation rendered by dimension construct hit the midst of realization, and are freed from their customs. You, dear ones, are the matrix. And you are in the midst of Godhood, great bearers of light. In love and unity, always, beautiful family of light. Until next time. The Pleiadians.
Alright, nice message. You know what I always find fascinating is in putting together these shows, how everything ends up weaving together, all the stories, and because I don't always get a chance to listen to every single thing that I play. I allow myself to be guided, and I pray before every show so that I can find the information. And I always find it fascinating how from story to story, depending on where it goes, how it all seems to weave together, or they talk about similar things, which is lets me know we're on the right track. Alright, let's look at our affirmation for today. The more love I give, the more there is to receive. The more love I give, the more love there is to receive. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. The more love I give, the more there is to receive. And as you allow these words to resonate in your mind, you realize that love is such an endless source that no matter how much you give, there is always much more that is sent back to you that you receive. And as we contemplate the resources of life, we realize that all resources, all energies are available in endless supply. And as we attune our consciousness towards the mind of abundance and prosperity, we begin to understand. We realize that it is only in the small thinking and limited thinking that we get caught up in poverty consciousness, or lack, or loss. And that if we keep our mind attuned to the bigger picture, we will always see that the universe is constantly providing, constantly giving, that we might receive. Let's imagine as we look inside ourselves that we see fragments. Let's imagine parts of ourselves that need to come together in better unity. So let's imagine like islands all coming together, that our cells, our DNA, our structure all becomes more connected, and all the fragments and confusions are swept away as unity and wholeness comes over each one of us. And as we become whole, we feel healthy and strong. As we become whole, we feel balanced and in a place to make better decisions. As we become whole, we understand the abundance of the universe that pours upon us each and every day. And we know that whether or not we receive that abundance is all our choice, and whether we feel deserving of the energy of life or not. Which takes us all back to the point that all is energy. And the more we understand the energetic fields around us, the more effective we are in life as spiritual beings having a human experience. So let's contemplate ourselves, and let's imagine ourselves moving through life, complete synchronicity with all of the energies around us, listening to the messages that the universe gives us so that we can understand our place. And let's imagine ourselves sharing our energy with the world to make the world a better place, knowing that every time we do so, we change the world for the better. And let's imagine as we speak to others and we share our words with others, let's imagine like a light being turned on into darkness, till pretty soon, one light after another, a million lights are turned on because we've inspired each other. And let's imagine in that inspiration a planet of love. And let's just hold that thought of Earth being a planet of love, vibrating love, sending out love, and transforming all of those upon this planet into beings of love. Now, let our subconscious mind continue on this journey of sending love out into the world. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. Thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Have an awesome day. Just keep thinking positive. Spread the word. And we'll just turn this world into a place of positivity the way we want it to be. I'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.